Here's Bob and Suzanne.
Chicken joke! I'm Mrs. Cleaver.
From Television City in Hollywood.
Boy, the way Glenn Miller plays.
We can rebuild him. We have the technology. Nanu.
Baby, you're the great.
Here comes the judge.
More cowbell.
Not special.
There's anything wrong with that.
And now for something completely different.
There's no business like show.
Welcome to Where Hollywood Hides. This is podcast episode number 24. My name is Bob McCullough.
And my name is Suzanne Herrera McCullough. Happy 4th of July, Bob.
Thank you, and happy 4th of July to you too, my little sparkler.
Speaking about sparklers, were you not disappointed? I sent you to a secret place to get fireworks, and you got sparklers.
Yeah, they've really changed.
Oh, my goodness.
The old school sparklers
They don't
on the...
sparkle anymore.
Yeah, there's no hot wires, a little stick, and things kind of shoot out of the end. It's...
So disappointing. I was hoping the police would come, you know?
Well, they made a lot of smoke anyway.
No action, exactly.
And 4th of July was fabulous here in Santa Barbara. We had a great time at the beach.
You know something I really want to do, speaking about fireworks, a movie that's really causing a lot of talk in the industry is Jersey Boys.
Oh, Clint Eastwood's new movie, yeah. Can't wait to see that.
It's going to be fun.
Well, it's a combination of rock and roll and movies. It's always always great.
I'm still waiting for those flowers, and I want to be taken to a movie.
All right.
Okay?
Flowers at the movie.
Well, the flowers can come first.
Okay, all right.
Put that on your list.
Okay. Today we're interviewing Garner Simmons, an old friend of mine whom I first worked with on Falcon Crest.
We call him Gar.
Gar, right? Garner's...
Isn't that a name of a cartoon character? Oh, it's Garfield.
Garfield, right.
That's right, but they called him Gar too.
Right,
okay.
right. Garner's one of those rare television writers who really has kind of a literary bent. I would call him a pure writer, although he has produced and directed a number of things. He served as supervising producer on shows like Wolf, Buck James, Spencer for Hire, and The Yellow Rose, and has written, take a look at his IMDb page or his website at garnersimmons.com. You'll see all of his credits. It's pretty impressive. He comes from a long line of literary family members, and in our interview, we'll hear him talk about that a little bit.
So I was thinking, Bob, every woman loves flowers, right?
That's what I've been told.
And it's been months.
I hadn't noticed, but...
My personal favorite this week, Bob, is 1-800-Flowers.com, one of the internet's original online retailers, and has been named one of the web's top 50 retail stores for 7 years now. That's a long time.
That's saying something, because the internet's pretty big.
So, Bob, this is the only place to order flowers online, so whether you're looking for roses, orchids, gift baskets, or wedding bouquets... That's not us, is it? No. 1-800-Flowers.com has the absolute best in quality and service. And the best way to get that service and that absolute best prices, whether you're looking for delivery across town or even here to Santa Barbara, Bob.
Okay, I'm getting a hint.
Is by going to wherehollywoodhides.com and clicking on the 1-800-Flowers link. So flowers are always the perfect gift from 1-800-Flowers.com.
All right.
So before we start this interview, I always like to ask you, how was it working with Garner?
Well, although we don't touch upon it in the interview much, he was one of those people who it was really great to have on your side because he was a true collaborator. It was a real partnership, the way you and I write sometimes, back and forth. So it was a great experience for me.
He seemed like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
And he still is.
So here's the interview. Garner, thanks for taking this call and joining us at Where Hollywood Hides. We're really looking forward to this conversation.
I have too. I think it's, you and I have been friends since just right after the last Punic War.
Really? A while.
Way before I was born. Way before I was born, right?
Right.
Right.
You were an infant when Bob and I met.
So the interesting thing about you, I think, which really distinguishes you among television writers, is the fact that you are really a pure writer. As I recall, you come from quite a literary family. Why don't you tell us about your family a little bit and what inspired you to become a writer in the first place?
It was actually just this generation. It's pretty strange. I have a sister who's a novelist and a poet who lives in Dublin, Ireland. And my brother is also a writer. And he's a novelist and my father had a 6th grade education, My mother left high school at her sophomore year, so it was kind of strange. I mean, we came to this. My sister did not start writing until she was 43, and she wound up with, I think, 16 titles in print at Dell and Delacorte.
Was her becoming so literary and demonstrating all that literary talent, did that inspire your writing?
I always, I don't know, I should say I always knew I could write. For some reason, I always felt in school that I expressed myself best in words. I could always put down my thoughts in ways that seemed to make a difference.
Now, you went to high school in Chicago?
I went to high school in Arlington Heights, Illinois. But
so at what point did you become academically inclined and think about a career using words?
Well, I was a terrible student for a long time.
Did you go to a public high school?
Public high school, Arlington Heights High School.
And where'd you go from there?
I went to Colgate University, and that was purely by chance also. My parents had never been to college. They didn't know what it was about. The experience I had at Colgate really shaped who I was, both as a writer and my understanding of the world.
Is Colgate where you hooked into the whole film and television kind of thing?
No, film, and Colgate wouldn't teach film. There was no such thing as film. I graduated from Colgate with a degree in English and minor in fine arts. I knew I was beginning to think I wanted to write, but I wasn't sure how anybody ever paid you for writing.
So what was your first exposure to the showbiz world?
I went to Northwestern in graduate school, finally. I went to in film, and I took a master's, and then I took the next 18 months and did everything I could in Chicago. I had to do with film, but there was no real feature film or television going on there to speak of. I went back to Northwestern, and the only thing available to me was a PhD. Basically, I had to do a dissertation. My advisor was able to get me an introduction to Sam Peckinpah, so I called Sam Peckinpah cold on this.
Sam Peckinpah being one of the seminal directors of the 60s.
Right. Sam was really an American artist working in film, and truly a remarkable individual.
Now, at that time, had he done Straw Dogs?
No, he had done. What happened was just as I was applying for a master's at Northwestern, I happened to see The Wild Bunch just as it was opening.
Okay.
That was quite a movie.
It just blew me away. I knew instantly this is what I wanted to do.
That movie in particular really kind of changed the literature of the Western.
There's a moral fiber to that film that really is extraordinary.
So what was it like? What was it like? You're a young guy, and you're having your first meeting with Sam Peckinpah. That's got to be huge.
We met on the telephone to begin with, and I woke him up. That was not a good thing. And he listened while I proceeded to say, "This is what I would like to write a book about." I didn't think he would give a hoop about writing a dissertation. So I said, I want to write a book on you. Here's what I've done. I've got some an outline or whatever. I'd like to send it to you and get together with you and do some interviews. And he said absolutely nothing. And so the silence kind of lengthened to about.
So you're pitching your heart out to a guy who just woke up, and you're getting crickets.
Want to talk to me, right?
And you're getting crickets in return, right?
Finally, he says, "Okay, send it to me, and we'll see." And he hangs up. No, he didn't give me a place to send it, but I had one other phone number. I called the first of the two numbers. So I called the other number, and it turned out to be Camille Fielding. So I called that number, and she answered, and I explained to her what had just happened. He'd hung up on me, and I had no idea where to send this stuff. And she just roared. She thought it was really hilarious. And she said, "Send it to me, I'll get it." So I put together this package. I sent it off to Camille Fielding, or Sam, in care of Camille.
Proving once again, one of the things we're learning in these podcasts is that it really helps to know the right people.
It does. But also it's three things, I think. It's talent, persistence, and luck. And the one thing you can't control and you probably need the most of is luck. Persistence is you got to basically, there's one of my favorite quotes is actually by Hillel, and it goes, "If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? If I'm only for myself, what am I? If not now, when?" And those three questions you can live your life on. I mean, it really is. It's basically saying I've got to be for myself, but not be a total asshole. I've got to have the patience to wait it out.
So Jerry Fielding's wife finally gets you in touch with Peckinpah, or gets your material to him.
And then I got this call from Sam, basically 10 days later, saying, "I read the stuff. If you're serious about it, I'll let you know. I'm going to do a picture down in Mexico, and we'll see." So About 4 months later, he started bringing the head of Alfredo Garcia, and I flew to Mexico. And my father was extremely concerned because I was going off to meet a man I'd never laid eyes on in a strange country.
And a man with a certain reputation for living
I
the
knew
rock
what
and
was going to happen, exactly.
yeah, I mean this is not George Stevens. This is a guy who lives the rock and roll film lifestyle.
I arrived in Mexico City. I got to his hotel about 8 in the morning, and called up to the room and got his assistant, who said there are a couple of guys you find wandering around down in the lobby. A guy named Gordy Dawson, who's producing and co-wrote the script, and a guy named Bill Davidson, who's our production manager. See if you can find them, and we'll be down. We wait all day long. In fact, I had enough time. I interviewed both Davidson and Dawson, at least initially, while we waited, because it was like 4 in the afternoon before Sam ever came down. Finally, he makes it to the lobby. I walk up to his assistant, who I had this conversation with, and I introduced myself, and she immediately turned to Sam and said, "Sam, I'd like you to meet your biographer."
Well, that's a nice intro.
She was great. Sam and I shook hands, and Sam looked at Gordy, and he said, "He comes with me." And so I went in the front car with him, and that was the beginning of it.
Cool.
We spent the next 3 weeks running around Mexico.
That must have been crazy.
I was just very lucky.
So did you set about writing the book? I mean, exclusively? Is that all you were doing for that period of time? You just focused on his.
Well, no, I was simultaneous to that. I was finishing up a PhD at Northwestern. I was writing a screenplay for a contest that 20th Century Fox held that involved 25 universities, of which they would pick 3 out of 50 scripts, and I was lucky enough to be one of the 3 the way it worked out. So I was doing a lot of things simultaneously.
So when you win a screenwriting contest like that, is there any money involved? Do you ever sell the script?
Yeah, there was money involved. That was one of the nicer things.
does it ever get produced or anything?
By virtue of winning the contest, I got a small option on the script, which is a 60-day option for, I forget, a couple $1,000.
So you've got this screenplay win under your belt, and are you still in Chicago?
We're still in Chicago. I got a call from an agent named Everett Ziegler, who was a big deal at the time. He called me in from L.A. He said to me, "I represent a small stable of writers, Mario Puzo, Robert Towne."
No, Ziegler was huge. He was huge at that time. Do you think agents at that time, were they trolling for screenplay contest winners?
No, what happened was the guy who was the president of 20th Century Fox, Norman Stillberg, was just being forced out of Fox. He had really liked the script. And he gave it to this agent, and the agent read it. The agent didn't care about it. Maybe the agent didn't even read it. I don't really know. But I know that what he really was saying was, "I will represent you, and if Fox wants to make this, I'm going to make 10% of whatever you're going to get."
Sure, it's all about the money. Right.
But if it doesn't get made, it's no skin off my nose. I haven't lost anything. So I didn't realize. I was too naive to realize that at the time. I mean,
you must have been excited, though.
Oh, it was incredible. You think, God, this is really possible.
Because you're in Chicago and you're getting a call from a guy in Hollywood.
Right, exactly.
So you're represented by Ziegler, one of the biggest literary agents in Hollywood.
I went to Fox because they had this contest.
Uh-huh.
The name on the telegram was a woman named Marjorie Green, the head of the story department. And I called cold from the lobby of Fox and said, "You probably don't know who I am, but your name is on the telegram, so I thought I'd call you." She immediately, what was really nice about it was, she immediately says, "Oh, this is fantastic. You've got to come up. I've got to talk to you." So we had this very nice conversation, and she went out of her way. She introduced me to Gordon Stillberg, and that's
so out of sheer chutzpah, you're suddenly inside the studio gates.
That's right. And that's what it takes. I think you've got to basically represent yourself to some. I always had a theory that if you look at the way in which things break down, agents get 10%, you get 90%. So who should be hustling harder? You or him?
But yeah, my theory always is, if you stand on protocol, you're going to be standing outside those gates for a long time.
True, too. Absolutely right. You've got to basically break the doors down. She was very helpful. She got scripts into Fox. None of them ever got made, but it started to develop relationships.
So after that meeting, how do you start to pay rent? I mean, how do you make a buck?
You continue to tend bar. I got a job with another guy I knew was an assistant editor for an awful Saturday morning kids show called Kids from Caper. It was terrible, but it got me some money.
So you when you say Kids for Caper, are you writing scripts for them?
No, I'm editing. I'm assisting an editor. Meanwhile, there's another. I've gone through. The first agent didn't work out at all. In fact, this is really an important point, I think, in terms of how this business works. While waiting for things to happen, I wrote another script, and then I wrote another script. And the third script was actually, I thought, pretty good. Meanwhile, I get a call from one of the secretaries at Ziegler's office saying, I don't know how to tell you this, but none of your stuff is going out. I had done an interview with Jimmy Kahn in writing the book on Peckinpah. Kahn was looking for a comedy, and the thing I'd written had been an action comedy. And he said, listen, have your agent send it to my agent, and maybe it'll work out. Who knows? So I immediately told Ziegler's office if they could send the script over to Jimmy Kahn. They never sent it. They never did anything. Mainly because, again, they were, if things fell in their lap, they were going to do it. But he could make more. Ziegler could make more walking into an office and saying, I have Robert Towney, I'd like to write a script for you. And which they managed to get a fee of $500,000, for which he gets $50,000 or more. Why would he spend any time with me? I just didn't make that connection. I was just being stupid.
Well, you were believing what people told you. Hey, we're going to represent you. And
naive, right? So anyway, this girl says, I know another agent who's just starting out. I went over and gave him a copy of the script, and I gave a copy to Gordon Stolberg. About 10 days go by, and I called the agent, and the agent finally got him on the phone. He said, gee, I don't know what to say. I read about 10 pages of this. I think maybe I ought to consider another career.
Oh, perfect. I think we've all heard that advice.
Yeah, absolutely. So literally, this is not exaggerated, within half an hour of that phone call, I get a call from Gordon Stolberg saying, I just finished reading your script. I'm leaving it at the gate for Chartoff and Winkler, who had done Rocky, and let's see if we can get this made.
So the lesson is, so you're working as an assistant editor on some Saturday morning kids show, but you're continuing to write.
Right, absolutely. You write all the time. That's the only way to get there is to keep putting out new work.
Right.
The point of that story is really that here are two opinions, 180 degrees apart. One says he loves it, and the other says he hates it. And what you realize is that you're not writing for everybody. You're hopefully writing for someone who sees the world the way you see it.
So what was your first paying gig as a writer?
First writing break was, there was a show called Via Allegra, which was Sesame Street with Spanish. I was a token gringo, basically.
But then you quickly progressed into primetime, didn't you?
Yeah. Basically, I got in the Writers Guild through a script for a show which never got on the air. So I wrote the script, and that meant that I could give the Writers Guild $1,500, whatever it was, to get in. But made me more legitimate.
So basically, you're seeing the rungs of the ladder to a real career.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you walked in and you started at the top on some hit show.
No, you don't start at the top ever. I was lucky enough to get opportunities, and I was fortunate to have the ability to walk through the door when it opened. But it's pounding on a lot of doors and windows.
Thinking back to those days, what was in your mind the absolute biggest break you got?
Biggest break I got was you. That's really true. When it was 1981, we had the strike in '81.
Right. Falcon
Crest was a show that CBS wanted to do. And I get this call from my agent saying, we're FedExing you the Bible for Falcon Crest.
Now, was this the original Bible?
As I remember, it was like 300 pages, but it was big.
That would have been the Bible that I rewrote.
That's right. I think that you had rewritten it, and there were things about it I really liked, but then when I got to there was a point where one of the characters was named Dorcas Cumpson.
Right, right.
Vance. The whole premise of it was that, the Bob Foxworth character, Hugh Verdi, winds up, giving up everything, flying his family back to the Napa Valley, the Tuscany Valley, and starting from scratch. It's the American dream, basically.
Garner, I know the story very well.
You do know the story. You wrote it.
Right.
But what you did, and what everybody should know, and which I've always thought was absolutely brilliant, was there had been a pilot done before you ever came on the show, which involved Jane Wyman in a white wig, and Clu Gulager and Samantha Agar, and it was unwatchable. And CBS liked the arena, but it didn't want to put that on the air, and that's what I think brought you to the show. But the truth is, what you did to that, you took that script, that story, and you recognized that there were 6 stories tied up there that just need to be liberated, and you could into 6 A stories, and you could B stories with them, and you would have a series, and that's where that was the break.
That's very flattering, but I do want to confess today that the writer of most of that was the woman I'm sitting across from, Suzanne, because
and I owe you even more. Not only were you incredibly helpful in my career, but your incredible taste in women and your wife made my day.
Garner.
Right. Well,
sweetheart.
The fact is, I was an only child raised by a single parent. I had no concept of family dynamics or the drama that goes on. And I looked to Suzanne and I said, "Hey, you come from a big family. What do you think about this?" And it took her about 3 days to come up with all that stuff, and she basically dictated that Bible to me. So I give her all the credit, and that's why she has all the money.
Oh, right.
You were terrific, really.
I think what really got you the job was that you had an idea, any idea. We just wanted people to come in and say something other than, "Yeah, I'd like to work here."
That is the key. He is having something to pitch. I
had read, I guess, a piece of I'd read some kind of pages, because my problem was at the time I just needed people who could write fast and who could collaborate and would, be happy to be rewritten, because I'm an inveterate rewriter. And I think that was the key to our success when you join a TV staff, you become part of a team, and you were a real team player and didn't have your ego involved. And so, I look at your IMDb page, and you've got as many credits more credits than most people have ever had. So you and I struggled through Falcon Crest for 3 years.
Yes.
The show was a huge hit. And then certain things happened, and I left, and you left. And where'd you go from there?
Well, when you left, I realized how truly ridiculous the place was, that they would let you walk out the door and bring in a bunch of other people. I knew there was serious problems. I thought, man, save me from these kinds of people.
Well, egos do, show themselves.
No kidding. Fortunately, one of my agents, a guy named Lee Rosenberg, was representing John Wilder, who was doing a show called Yellow Rose. And Wilder had been in a huge fight with an actor named David Soul, and John was saying he wasn't going to write anymore. He just couldn't deal with this anymore. The script I'd written that got me my agents and got me a lot of jobs was a script that was a Western. So Lee gave John Wilder the Western, and Wilder called me at home. He said, I just read your script. I think it's terrific, and I'm just about to tell Warner Brothers that unless you do the show, I'm not going to do the show.
Well, that's a nice thing to hear. Do you think that your having written Peckinpah's biography carried some cachet with him?
It did. I think it probably did. John was very much moved by those kinds of things, I think.
Well, I think everybody is.
One of the things I think it did was it gave me some differentiation between me and the rest of the guys out there. I had actually published a book, and
and you published a book to great critical acclaim, and
it worked out really well.
A very successful calling card. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, no, it really has helped me along the way.
For our listeners, Garner's book, The Biography of Peckinpah, is on our website and available through Amazon and all those resources, isn't it?
Absolutely. I would. If anybody feels the urge to buy it, I would love to accommodate you.
It's a great book. It's really the seminal biography of one of America's great filmmakers. So you're working with John Wilder, and The Yellow Rose was a very prestigious project.
Yes, it was. It was a huge cast with Sam Elliott and David Soul and Sybil Shepherd. It was supposed to be the kind of flagship show for NBC that year.
But like so many things, it was fairly short-lived in terms of your career. Where'd you go from there?
They had said to me at Warner Brothers, if they had anything else, would I be interested in coming aboard? The only show they sold that year was V.
So you went from Westerns to science fiction.
Yes. What do you want from this? I said, I want to be supervising producer. And they said, you got it. There won't be any more money in it.
Right. They give titles away very easily, but money's something else.
But I'd learned that titles meant something ultimately.
And then you start amassing a lot more credits. I mean, you went from V to, I think your IMDb page says you worked on Baywatch and Poltergeist and Time Tracks. A lot of the same shows I enjoyed success on. Tell me a little bit about the freelancing life and what you think your biggest success was there. What
was different for me was that I wasn't just pitching television. I was continuing to write features.
Well, there's that persistence thing again.
Yeah, no, that's what it takes. It really is.
So with all that behind you, and obviously one of the most remarkable television writing and producing careers, I know you're not sitting on your hands. What are you working on now?
Yeah, I have 2 films, 2 scripts I've written. One deals with is a drama set against the fall of the Berlin Wall that has just been sent over to Kevin Costner. We'll see if he does anything with it, if he's interested in doing it.
I've actually read that piece, and,
Right.
and Costner would be amazing for it.
So that's one, and the other one is a script on Shakespeare before he was Shakespeare.
I read that as well, and I thought that was brilliant. It's really Tom Jones for the new millennium.
You know, you worked with a lot of great TV actors. Do you have a favorite that you've worked with, male or female?
No, absolutely. I mean, actually, the cast of Falcon Crest, when Bob and I were there, was a remarkable cast. I mean, David Selby and Bill Moses and Susan Sullivan, Anna Alicia, and, of course, Jane Wyman, who was truly, I mean, she had not acted in a while when the show started, and it took her a couple of episodes to kind of get her feet on the ground, but boy, was she sharp.
Guess who Suzanne had lunch with yesterday?
Anna Alicia.
Did you really?
I did, and she said to say hi because I mentioned to her that we would be speaking with you. She looks great, took time off to raise 2 beautiful kids, and she's going to get back in the business, I think. So that'll be interesting.
So if you have a script for her,
That's right.
let us know.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. That's really nice to hear because she was a really talented actress, and you know, but the show had really a strong cast. What we were able to do in 3 years set the stage for the next 5, and unfortunately, the people who took it over didn't know what they were doing, and they kind of ran it into the ground. But while we were there, it was as good as I thought that the script was the show. I'm sorry, was as good as anything on television.
Well, we certainly also had some fun times in Napa.
Oh, it was great. It was really there was a real energy to it.
Is there anything, looking back, hindsight, that you would do anything different?
I would not change anything. I mean, what you need, I think, is an understanding that it's a long, long process, and you have to be in it for the long haul. It isn't something that's going to happen necessarily overnight. Some people just get lucky, and it does happen quickly. But for people who really make it, I think it is just persistence and putting it out there. I mean, I keep writing because that's what I do. Writing is the gateway to television and to film. I mean, the procession really goes, you start out as a writer, and then you become a producer in order to protect your writing, and then if you want to, you can become a director as well.
Well, I think that's probably the most valuable advice we've ever heard on the podcast. Garner, I cannot tell you how much we appreciate this time.
Well, it's been my pleasure.
And we'll have to do this again because I think you have a lot more to say, and I think everyone would love to hear it.
We will link to your website, which is an impressive work in itself, and we will also link to your Peckinpah biography, and hope people get in touch with you because you are indeed the most literary TV guy I know.
Well, you're really, really too kind. We've had a great time together, and there will be many more.
All right, man. We'll talk soon. Thanks again.
Take care, Garner. Bye.
You too, Suzanne. Bye.
All right. That was great talking to Garner.
And I have a very exciting announcement to make.
What's that?
I would like to announce that our book, Where Hollywood Hides, Santa Barbara, will be coming out on September 1st.
That's right. That's right. It's been a while, but
Yay!
It will be available September 1st at our website at wherehollywoodhides.com. It'll be Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com. It'll be everywhere.
It'll be a great gift book.
Okay, that takes care of today. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Hey, are you looking for something? Hate driving down to the mall to see if they even have it in stock. Amazon.com has whatever you need. School supplies, clothing, shoes, toys, video games, DVDs of the shows we've worked on. I could go on forever, but you get the idea. Go to our website at morehollywoodhides.com and you'll be supporting the podcast, so give it a shot. Amazon services from selections to deliveries to returns. It's really beyond belief.
Today's music is provided by Chance McCullough, and you can hear more of his tracks at chancemccullough.com.